Some dolls are meant to comfort. Some are made to haunt. This is the story of Clara, the nanny who took a job she couldn't afford to quit, and the child who never played alone. What? Clara was 26. She had no family to call, no one to fall back on. She had moved to a new city for what was supposed to be her big break, a marketing job at a rising tech company, but just 3 weeks in, the company folded. No severance, no notice. She burned through her savings fast, rent piled up, credit cards maxed. She took a job waiting tables at a 24-hour diner, barely scraping by. The late nights, the exhaustion, it wore her down, and then she got fired when a customer falsely accused her of stealing tips. Her landlord gave her until the end of the week. The pressure was suffocating. No friends in the city, no backup plan, just bills and silence. So when she saw the ad, live-in nanny needed, immediate start, high pay, she called without thinking. The house was old, isolated, the kind you'd expect thunder to strike when you knock. Inside, spotless, cold, unwelcoming. The child, Lily, was 9 years old. She had dark brown hair parted neatly down the middle and deep brown eyes that rarely blinked. She was quiet, shy, barely spoke during Clara's first day, but it wasn't just her silence that stood out, it was her clothing. Lily was dressed in a child's summer dress that looked like it had been pulled from a photograph taken in the 1950s. Pale yellow with embroidered flowers, starched to a stiffness that made her look like a doll herself. Mary Jane shoes, frilly white socks. It wasn't cute, it was eerie, like she was dressed for another era. She clung to a porcelain doll. Thin cracks ran down its face like veins. It wore a faded pink dress. One of its blue eyes was always watching. Mrs. Wells, Lily's mother.
That's Annabelle. Lily's very attached. Please don't move her.
Clara didn't question it. She needed the job. The first night, Clara heard footsteps in the hallway. Light, like a child. But when she checked on Lily, she was sound asleep, doll in her arms. The second night, giggling, hollow, coming from the playroom. She opened the door. The doll was sitting in the center of the room, alone, Lily still in bed. Then Clara started finding the doll in places it shouldn't be. She once locked it in Lily's toy chest after it mysteriously showed up in the kitchen cabinet. 10 minutes later, she found it sitting on the stairway banister, staring directly at her. One afternoon, Clara placed the doll in Lily's room and went to do laundry. When she turned to open the dryer, it was sitting on top of the machine, cold porcelain hand resting on the control knob. Another morning, she found the doll in the pantry, its tiny hand resting on a box of cereal as if waiting to be served breakfast. One night, she closed the bathroom door and turned on the water for a shower. When she pulled back the curtain, the doll was in the tub, upright, dry, and somehow already staring at her. The house was always quiet, eerily so. During the day, there were no sounds of creaking pipes, no hum of electronics, just a deep, unnatural stillness. But at night, the silence became unbearable. Clara would lie awake, straining to hear something, anything, but the quiet only seemed to amplify the sound of her own heartbeat. The stillness was oppressive, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Clara tried to reach out to Lily to build some kind of bond. She brought board games into the parlor and suggested they play. Lily would sit and watch, but never roll the dice, never touch the pieces. Clara brought out coloring books, brand new ones, and a pack of fresh crayons. Lily would sit beside her but never draw. She would just quietly hum and brush the doll's hair with a tiny plastic comb. Once, Clara asked if Lily wanted to go outside and play in the garden. Lily only shook her head.
Annabelle doesn't like the sun.
When Clara asked what kind of games she liked, Lily would respond without looking up.
I don't play anymore, not since the last one left.
Clara's stomach dropped. She began keeping a log in her journal. She wrote times, dates, and exact locations, but the doll continued appearing, always somewhere new, always somewhere personal. On the 5th night, Clara tucked the doll into Lily's arms after she'd fallen asleep. She walked downstairs to the living room to unwind. When she sat on the couch, the doll was sitting right next to her, silent, watching. She gasped and dropped her glass. It shattered. Still, no one came. Mrs. Wells and her husband never seemed to be home, always gone, always unreachable. It wasn't just the appearances, it was the feeling, the heavy, watchful silence, a pressure in her chest, the scent of lavender and dust. She swore the doll's eyes had moved, slightly, just enough to follow her. When she told Mrs. Wells, she was met with the same icy response.
You must be imagining things, but if you're uncomfortable, you're free to leave.
But Clara wasn't free. She was broke with nowhere left to go, no savings, no options. She had begun to dream of the doll. Dreams where she couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Dreams where Lily watched her from the doorway. And in the dreams, the doll smiled. One night, Clara woke to whispering, "Stay with us, stay, stay." She followed the voice to Lily's room. Lily stood over the doll, holding its hand, chanting something inaudible. When Clara turned on the light, Lily smiled.
Annabelle says you're pretty. She wants to keep you.
Clara tried to laugh it off, but her hands shook. She began researching the house, the doll. What she found chilled her. Annabelle wasn't the first doll. Each nanny the family hired had mysteriously vanished. The town knew. They called it the doll house. Clara tried to quit, bags packed, but every time she stepped outside, she found herself back at the front door. Phone, dead. Roads, gone. And the doll? No matter where she left it, it always reappeared in her room, sometimes cradled in her bed. Once, sitting at her desk, her journal open beneath its tiny hands. That final night, Clara heard crying. She found Lily cradling the doll, rocking it.
Lily, she's sad. The last one left. She's been waiting for you.
Clara backed away, but the room seemed to stretch. The walls melted into shadow. Her body felt heavy, paralyzed. The doll's cracked eye glowed. Clara tried to scream, but no sound came. Her reflection in the hallway mirror didn't show her. It showed porcelain skin, painted lips, frozen glass eyes. And the next morning, Lily had a new doll beside Annabelle. Same dress, same hair. A faint trace of a tear dried on its cheek. They say if you visit the house today, you'll hear giggles at night, sometimes crying. Some say the dolls move. Others say they whisper. New ads still pop up. Live-in nanny, immediate start, high pay. Just don't answer the ad, unless you're ready to never leave. If you enjoyed this story and want more terrifying tales like this, hit that like button, subscribe, and share with your bravest friend. And tell us in the comments, what would you do if the doll wanted to keep you?